Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the lab. I'm, of course, your host, Sean Burkhead, and today, bringing you another episode of SoyCast. I have on with me Mr. Albert himself, and AC Bomb. Boom, it's Ace. No Dre today, unfortunately, but it's okay. We'll hold down the fort. I don't know if it's hold down the fort or hold the fort down, or if it's just hold it down. Like
hold in the fart. I think it is.
No, that's something different. That's what you do on the first date, right? Like you hold it in the whole time, and once she leaves, that's when you leave. You release the.
That's when you're like, you know what, baby? Meet me at the car. I'll meet you. Meet me at the car. And what's wrong, baby? Hold on, just to meet me at the car. Go ahead and get it, man. Go ahead and get it. I told you to meet me by the car. Now go ahead and get this carne asada.
Gross. That's why dudes be farting at urinals, right?
Well, in actuality, that's the reason why we open the door for you girls, because we open the door for you girls, let you in, and then we'll walk the long way so we could fart and then get into the driver's seat. Just a little tidbit right there.
Is that why I've always taken the long route? Because I thought like it's rude to walk in front of the car, even though it's your car.
No, you crop dust the back.
Oh. Yeah, because in the front, that's where the AC comes in.
Yeah, come on, Johnny.
Is that man? I mean, that's again my technique is I fart at the urinal. I don't wait till we get to the car.
Nah. You let her in. You walk her to her, open the door, let her in. Oh, how sweet. Close the door and then
I just hold mine until I get extremely bloated and have to go to the ER.
And if she stays with you, she's the keeper?
Yeah.
Is that what Sandra did? She stayed with you as you went to the ER?
Yeah, exactly.
No, she just farted along with him. You know what, baby? You're not alone with. Like, oh, Sandra, you're the one. You're the one, Albert.
No, she wanted to lay on my chest, but she laid on my stomach, and then I just let it out.
and then your body rose like, oh god.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Hey, girls don't fart. Ace, you have it all wrong.
Girls don't use the restroom at all. They don't do the number 2. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, there's no toilets. It's just a sink and a mirror.
And a couch, right?
Yeah.
90s sitcoms. They taught me something. But yeah, man, how y'all doing? We're rolling 3 this time. We got no Knox with us. How y'all feeling?
We're good. Definitely missing Knox's intelligence and beauty and whatnot. But like you said, we're gonna hold down the fart and wait for him next week. Fortnite. Yeah, we'll play later
God.
On.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know Dre has been really heavy on the Pokemon Unite lately, so I hope he's at least gonna get in a game or 2 with that. Have you been playing, Albert?
I have been actually playing more than him.
No way.
I think I've been able to put in more games than him. Since I'm ranked a little bit higher too. It's so much fun though. I'm addicted.
Yeah. Better than I guess it's different than League. Like it's similar to League, but it's very different, is it not?
Yeah, it's a dumbed down version of League of Legends, just for so that the kids could play. But it's essentially the same,
concept.
Same concept where you just have to go straight beat them down all the way down to their base, and whoever scores the highest wins.
Ace, have you played?
Definitely played. Not playing well, but I do play. But just like anything in life, I give it my all, and second place ain't that bad.
Let's just say we're glad that it's not the League of Legends community, because I played games with him and he is not the best.
What's the Pokemon usually? Who's your starter, Ace? Who do you go with?
You gotta go with Snorlax.
Go with the Lax?
Go with the Lax, but yeah, I'm on a thread with these 3 idiots, Topher, Dre, and Albert, and I'm at work, and I've been looking at my phone like, God, man, 96 messages. These guys are going in. I'm like, whoa, come on.
Yeah, for real. Before I ask Albert who he usually picks, I think over the weekend I saw my phone and it was at like 196 messages, and I'm like, all right, TLDR, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna humor looking at this text thread. But Albert, joking aside, who do you like to play with?
Well,
Pokemon related.
Yeah, when I first started, Charizard was my go-to. But there was a patch recently. I think he got nerfed a little bit. So I've been using Cinderace, and he is phenomenal. I've been carrying games, like literally carrying games, and that's what climbing the ranks for me.
That's a fire ace. That's the translation. He's Cinder Ace.
Still Ace wins, so I'm not. He can say I suck at it, but come on, he still chooses me.
Is there a Blaziken or a Greninja?
Greninja, yes.
Is Greninja good?
He's good, but like there's somebody else that's better, I guess you can say. Because just the fact that you got to do more like button mashing with Greninja when you could just do less with someone else.
What about Decidueye?
No.
What
He's
about your
the owl. He's the owl with the shoots bows. Like he's the owl that has arrows.
What's that? He's the evolution of Outlet, right?
Rowlet, yeah, Rowlet.
I don't know about the outlet situation, but no.
He's an owl.
No, I think there's only like 15 to 20 Pokemon that are out right now, and they're slowly releasing it. Gardevoir just came out today, so super interesting. He's all right.
Gardevoir is the female, right? So did they do Gardevoir and Gallade or just Gardevoir?
No, Gardevoir. I think Toph said that she's more marketable. Something along
apparently there's a huge like Gardevoir fetish for all the weebs or so the internet tells me, because I don't follow that.
Oh, is that what it is?
I like Pokemon for like the games and the mythology and playing all that. I don't follow the anime. I don't like I play TCG, you know, it's different. I'm nerdier, if you will. Nerdier.
That's what you are.
Oh dear. Well, speaking of games, the Olympic Games and basketball has been interesting. I know we were talking a little bit offline about that. And I wanted to keep some of the meat of the conversation for right now. So Ace, how do you feel the guys have been performing, and like, you know, what are your thoughts overall about like the team kind of losing to France, picking it up today against a weak Iran team? Sorry, Iran, but you know, in men's basketball, you're just not as up to par as USA. But Ace, give us your thoughts.
Is there any player, NBA player on the Iran team? No, huh? I'm guessing not.
There was one. He used to play for the Memphis Grizzlies. He was a center.
Yeah,
he's still on the team for Iran, but he never got
I remember.
Right. Like it was a big deal. It was a big splash when he first made it to the league, but he never really saw too much PT. So it's kind of one of those like, yeah, they had NBA talent, but it wasn't like anywhere near even our, you know, even like a Keldon Johnson who's up and coming, but who actually sees like heavy PT in the NBA.
Correct. And then from Nigeria, is there an NBA player on the Nigeria team?
Yeah.
There is, yeah. But again, like not as much PT as say like any of the guys that you see on the USA team.
Sorry, go for my bad, Albert.
Younger player than Iran though. He's like an up and coming, like he's in the NBA.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I mean, just kind of watching the games and then watching the what do you call the games before the actual games?
Exhibition.
The exhibition games, right? So they lost the exhibition game to Nigeria, and then they lost to France, the opening match, right?
France is actually part of the group play. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, France is there as the actual. It's not part of the exhibition anymore, correct?
Right. It's the group play.
Mm-hmm. But that's technically a back-to-back loss for them, right?
Well, technically it was 3 because they lost to Nigeria, they lost to Australia, and then they didn't play a game, and then they lost to France. So they were like 0-2 in the exhibition, and then lost to France in their first group play.
Yeah. They won against Spain?
Say that again, Albert?
They won against Spain?
I think that was the game that they didn't play. That was like the postponed game because of like COVID protocols.
Okay.
I mean, just looking at it, you know, we talked about how, you know, back then how other countries were behind skill wise, and now they're slowly catching up. I think now if we're not putting the most elite, or if the elite out there representing the USA basketball team, we're going to struggle, right? So I don't want to say this is technically like the JV squad, but it's not our A squad, correct? So I think we're going to see some close games. They're not going to be no more technically blowouts. They're actually going to be sweating and putting in work I'm hoping this doesn't taint Kevin Durant's leadership skills because he's technically the leader of that team, if not the co-captain with Dame Lillard. Uh, Shows a lot, for those two, to kind of bring this team together and bring home the gold. And if they don't bring the gold home, I think that's going to really play a part as far as Dame and KD's leadership. Um, it just shows you that the world it's coming, and other teams look scary. USA just looks like they just look like one of the strong opponents. They don't look like the clear favorites anymore.
Albert, your thoughts before I chime in with some stats.
Yeah, gap is definitely closing. They did miss Booker, Drew Holiday, and Middleton. I think they first game was today, I think, for the USA, because I know they came in and they're pretty jet lagged or whatever and whatnot. I forgot what I was gonna say, but something about lacking. Of course they're lacking the big men, but back to the leadership. I think this is definitely writing on KD whether or not he could bring them to gold, since he is considered the best player on that team. But yeah, go ahead, John. I forgot what I was gonna say, but maybe I'll chime in.
No, you're good. And I definitely agree about the lack of like a big, because I believe they play very small, which is good for the NBA and for like some teams. But yeah, to Ace's point, Bam is a great power forward. He's no Anthony Davis, right? So the lack of size is definitely going to be apparent, especially against like a team like Spain, who's front court heavy, etc. And they know how to play together. They know how to slow the game down. But what I wanted to bring up against France, because there is something to say about leadership, but then when you look at just like the box score, like the stats, Kevin Durant and Dame Lillard combined for 21 total points, 21 of the 76 points, and they were 7 for 22 from the field. So that's scary, right? Like, your two best players, two of the top 10 guys in the NBA right now, aren't getting it done for whatever reason. They lost Beal, which sucks, and they still have like other guys that have been gold medalists before, like Draymond Green, and Jason Tatum's a young emerging star. But you're right. Like, is it chemistry? Do they not have enough time together? The world's catching up to them, and maybe it's like we're not scary anymore, because like comments that we've talked about offline about Lucas saying like, oh yeah, I could score easier in the NBA than I could in my league, because it's one of those things where like dudes are soft. I don't know if that's the case, but if we're getting out, if the physicality is overweighing our talent, is that something to be said about how the NBA is morphing into more of this entertainment sport versus like, we've talked about it again too, and I'm going off a lot of tangents, so apologize. There's a lot of points you can talk about, but basically like these non-NBA moves that are okay in the NBA now, drawing fouls, playing the ref, as opposed to just like, if you play pickup, you ain't calling that shit. You ain't even going near those kind of moves. Why? Because you need to just beat the person in front of you. And is this Olympics kind of showing like, yo, stop playing this kind of rule book style game, like just beat the person in front of you.
Definitely. I think it's more now, it's an exposure of like not technically our weakness, but maybe our leaning on towards the refs making the calls for the quote unquote NBA players, right? All speaking of street ball, I kind of picture it, like a finesse player playing a street ball player, and they're a little bit more tougher, a little more grittier, and then they put a body on him, like, whoa, man, that's stop fouling me, and they're like, no, that's not a foul. This is a contact sport, technically still. Yeah, I'm not putting you on the ground, but you are gonna feel my body, right? So I think the NBA players are starting to feel like, whoa, these guys are kind of quote unquote bodying us up, and they don't know how to kind of respond to it because they're more, I would say, more finesse players, or hey man, that's a foul, ref, call that foul, and the ref's like, no, he plays you straight up, and he did hit you a little bit, but it's not technically a foul, in quote unquote internationally play, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because again, the game's kind of morphed to like you said, where power was once such a big deal. Now it's more about finesse and kind of skill set. But even then, like Steph Curry's used to that getting body before he's played internationally, but his shot and his skill is just so much higher than everyone else's. It's like, yeah, I'm used to getting body, but also I'm just going to dribble around you, shoot a three, or I'm going to get easy backdoors because all the attention's on me, where we don't have a guy like that. Like Kevin Durant, as good as he is, he's an ISO player. Damian Lillard, as good as he is, he's very pick and roll, but for the most part, he's an ISO player. Jason Tatum, same thing. Boston's biggest struggle, ISO game. Whereas like the camaraderie and the cohesiveness of like the pick and rolls or going into system, which again, we talked offline, but Greg Popovich uses systems. He uses like, okay, do this, do that, do that. And that's going to open up the offense. But then guys are probably like, nah, just give me the ball and stand back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, and then we're also don't take anything away from these international teams. Like they've,
Right.
When they're not playing in the Olympics, yeah, our players are playing in the league, but these guys, probably the Argentinian team, they probably travel together or they play in the same league, or they all play on the same team, majority of them. So you can see like they know where they want the ball, or this guy needs a pick here because his shot's going to be over there, and you can clearly see like they know where people want the ball, or who works well together. And right now we're trying to figure that out. We're like I said, we're putting in our JV team in there, and we're telling them to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, great points. This is where like you bring the elite to come in, and like everybody knows all these players individually are way better than any player on any other international team. This brings back the dream team, how they were coached, during practice, that the classic practice where they went against each other and this humbled them. I feel like these players, knowing that they're elite, knowing that they're ISO players, knowing that they're better individually, I feel like they aren't humbled as a team. Maybe that's what they're lacking as far as how to win these games. Yes, they're they can score and then they can pop off, but as a team, I don't think they're there yet. And then as far as the rule book, and I think that's what's hindering their play as well. They are trying to play towards the refs. They are trying to play how they do in the NBA, but this is maybe what all the old school players call like how NBA players these days are super soft, and maybe this shows how soft these players are now, because they can't even hang quotes, air quotes, on international play, because they can't get banged up. They can't drive it in and get that little slap on the wrist and not get a call and still be able to play through it. And I think that's what's the major issues it is for this USA team.
And adding on to what Albert said too, like the dream team, we imposed our power. We imposed, this is our game, and we're going to show you how to play it. And I think now, like, we're taking a sense of like, okay, our big brothers did it, and they're going to try to bully ball these people, and our USA team is trying to bully them, and then the international team's like, no, and then our team's like, whoa, they're not scared of us anymore. And I think that's kind of like, whoa, we're supposed to be superior to them, and they're not, quote unquote, almost like they're not afraid of us anymore. And I think that might be also like a mental, like, whoa, they're, we're supposed to be running these, teams out of the gym,
Right.
but they're sticking around and they're tying the game. Whoa, they're actually, they have the lead over us. Whoa, like, so also that pressure of like, man, if we don't bring home gold, we're a sorry ass, USA team. So that pressure as far as like going into the Olympics and not bringing home gold, some of these players might not be able to handle that pressure.
Yeah, 100%, because they're just, again, they're supposed to be the best players in the world, and we have the most of the best players from any team. So it's interesting. Are you giving USA so far, because again, Ace, you said that they're still gelling. So do you think that they'll figure it out and play for the gold and or win the gold?
Yes, I sound hesitant, right? I still feel like we have a very strong chance of winning the gold. like I said, like we're not the clear-cut favorite anymore, right? But you know, um, things can happen. They like you say, Kevin Durant can have a bad game, and if Dame Lillard has a bad game, I don't know who's their third best player on the team, but if their third best player is having a bad game, yeah, it might look like it's gonna be really difficult. But I think if the competition, as more and more that they play and the competition kind of comes, I think Kevin Durant can pull through as and will this team together, and I think Dame Lillard can will this team together. Um, I still feel very good that they can win a gold medal.
Uh, I want to say no. I think they'll get to the gold medal match, but I think they might fall off and might get that silver.
Who do you think they're gonna go up against then?
I have no idea. I don't know yet. But even just to watch, Iran, like having Kevin Durant play the five just looks awkward to me. And so, like, Iran's centers aren't even prolific. So if they go against someone, like a Paul Gasol or a Luis Scola, like, um, they're done for, I think.
Just to give him some praise, Luka had like a 40-10-5 game in the.
Oh, so a normal game, a
right?
normal game for Luka.
But that's the thing. Like, that's normal for him having that kind of huge output. And I feel like Dame and Durant haven't given us a normal game. Like they're in in theory they're an easy 30 points each, right? But
yeah. I mean, once again, on paper we're supposed to blow teams away, right? On paper, but it comes down to it and that's why I'm always afraid, like, oh, the Lakers should get this, the Lakers could do that. Well, on paper we do look good, but we're gonna have to share the ball. Not everyone's gonna shoot 15 to 20 times, right? And maybe some players aren't used to that. Maybe a Zach LaVine ain't used to having only just 8 shots, right? So maybe that can also play a factor, but yeah, I mean, like I said, we look good, but I think time can tell. If we stay how we are now and we're not progressing, then yeah, I feel like we're not going to win. But I feel like we're definitely going to progress, as the rounds get deeper.
Also, not to knock Luka down whatsoever. He's a phenomenal player. But this is, like, I know, and also they're playing in Tokyo, but this is kind of Luka's home court. Because he's been playing FIBA, right, since he was 18, maybe even younger.
14.
14, yeah, younger.
14.
So, I mean, he knows the rules, and he's been playing, that type of basketball ever since he started.
Yeah, definitely. To shift gears a little bit, let's stay on basketball because all right, y'all get one trade/free agent signing as the Lakers GM. Who you getting? And what do you have to give up if it's a trade?
Wow.
And I'll start with mine because I kind of already have some of my thoughts bubbling in my head.
Go for it.
And it would be kind of a package thing for me. But basically, I'm bringing in Westbrook and I'm bringing in Buddy Hield because I saw those rumors and I really like the thought of one. I like Buddy a lot. He's a great pure shooter. And I feel like he doesn't need the ball a lot, but he can finish the play for you. He'll spread the floor, but he can also create for himself if the situation calls for it, right? And I like his size as a 2 guard. But why do I want Westbrook? One, he's an LA guy. And 2, kind of what we talked about, this international play. He's going to get it. He can, can you keep his emotions in check with LeBron and AD? I think so. But also, he's not going to quit. And he's going to, have that kind of grunge mentality of like, all right, cool. We need a bucket. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get a bucket. Again, kind of having guidance from LeBron and AD, doesn't have to do it all by himself. He's shown that he can play really well with other all-stars, like on the all-star teams and on Olympic teams before, which you basically would kind of have with Westbrook, LeBron, and AD. Putting all that aside, those are like the kind of the package I'd want. Yes, I'd want a Westbrook because one, I want a point guard that can break down the defense off the dribble, and he's just going to take on those like ugly style plays. Like he's going to play really hard defense. but he's also not going to quit if things aren't going the way he wants it.
Who would you give up?
Everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
LeBron and AD.
on that same note, I did see a DeRozan Kyle Lowry reunion in LA. I would definitely do that, but exchange DeMar DeRozan for Buddy Hield because I've been seeing this Buddy Hield thing. I think what we're lacking is outside shooting. So I do want I would bring in an outside shooter. Um, and I like Kyle Lowry because he's a more of a truer point guard than Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is definitely an offensive minded. And that's where like I said, it gets back into that thing. Like on paper, we're gonna look good, but he's gonna be another person that not demands, but would need some shots, right? I feel like Kyle Lowry wouldn't mind giving up the shots to an AD or a LeBron, but if he needs to take a big time shot, he will take a big time shot, but he wouldn't mind being the third or fourth option.
He's definitely a better shooter than Westbrook. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, I'm going for the outside shooting.
Yeah,
bringing in people, but a Russell Westbrook Buddy Hield combination wouldn't be bad. Kyle Lowry Buddy Hield situation wouldn't be bad. Like I've always been saying, Kyle Kuzma, you've seen your last days in a Lakers uniform. I thought maybe we should have gotten rid of you the season before, but I think they try to give him another shot. I think KCP is out pretty soon. Montrezl Harrell, I think they're also shopping as well. I think if it looks good enough, I think THT might be packaged if it can bring in a really big superstar. So it's going to be interesting to see who they bring in. But yeah, Buddy Hield for me would be one of the key people I would want them to try and get because spreading the floor for both AD and LeBron is key, and I think they need to bring in a shooter. And Buddy Hield is not going to be the answer, but can be an answer.
Ace likes it when it's spread and the middle is wide open.
Ooh, talk dirty to me.
Dre, don't you wish you were still here? Just kidding. Albert, what do you think?
Damn, I don't know. That's hard to follow up. But yeah, I think DeRozan and Buddy Hield are ideal to me. But giving up Kuzma, it sucks because I think the way he had it, in his perspective, like being consistent in an inconsistent role is hard. Which sucks because obviously I do think he does have potential. But yeah, I'd give him up. Anyone else other than LeBron and AD, but I think Hield and DeRozan are good choices, and I think if you just get a solid point guard, because everyone knows it's probably going to be in LeBron or AD's hands anyways. If you get a solid point guard, I think you should be straight.
Yeah, I think we're also trying to do a sign and trade with Dennis Schroeder as well too, right?
That's a weird situation for him because I've always liked Schroeder. It's just weird to me because I thought he would fit better. I thought a lot of the team would fit better than what they did. Maybe that's partly because of injuries, but also maybe because they didn't want to try as hard because they were like, the chemistry isn't there. We'll blame injuries, but really we're just not the fit that everyone thought we were going to be. So it's weird with Schroeder.
I heard there was a rift between him and Kuzma too, which is weird.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, Kuzma showed flat. I like Kuzma because sometimes he shows flash he can be the guy. And you brought up a good point, Albert. How do you be consistent in an inconsistent role? But also I don't know. There's certain guys by now, from his draft class, right? He's starting to fall behind.
Yeah.
Look at that kid from Luke Kennard from the Clippers. He plays his role well. He doesn't always get a lot of minutes, but he shoots well. He shoots aggressively, and he plays aggressively. And not that he's a direct comparison to Kuzma, but that's what I would want someone off the bench to be, right? Reliable, regardless of how many shots you're getting up, which unfortunately Kuzma is coming off the bench. So I feel maybe he's thinking I got paid, I should have a bigger role, this and that. But
yeah, I also think this is where I think Frank Vogel might have made the system incorrectly for these players. Because one, I watched Schroeder play in the Germany team, and he's hella quicker than I've seen him play on the Lakers. So like, if he's that fast, I just imagine what he could have done on the Lakers if he was able to play, I don't know, in a different system.
Well, I think he's trying to show what he can do. He's trying to showcase, Lakers signed me. This is what I can provide, or in case other teams would want me, look, this is what I can provide.
Yeah, true, but I think him with the Lakers, I think that's done. I think he's gonna go to a different team. But even with Kuzma, I think he's more of a slasher cutter as opposed to a shooter. I think they made him, or they wanted him to be a shooter this past season. And obviously he isn't as good as a shooter as compared to when he's cutting and slashing. And I think that's where he's optimal being used as.
That makes sense that they were just mismanaged in this coach, because I can see that. Because yeah, Schroeder on OKC was basically like, okay, cool, green light, and he killed, and that's what I think all of us thought we were getting when we signed him. Like, oh shit, now we get a guy who can actually be a point guard and slash and do his thing. But then it was like, yeah, bro, give the ball to LeBron and let him set everything else up. And it's like, all right, I guess.
On Kyle's note, I'm hoping that they were kind of direct with him as far as when they got him paid. Like, hey, we know you probably want to slash, but if we're gonna pay you this money, we're gonna need you to, pick up a jump shot. And you got to think about it too. If his jump shot's going, his slashing would probably be easier too, because they're gonna go for his pump fake, and he can drive it in. And this is what always gets me. This is what always grinds my gears, right? If you're in the NBA and you're getting paid, you got to live in the gym. And this is where Kobe's like, are you perfecting your craft? A lot of these players like opted out of the All-Star game or joining the Olympics because they're going to perfect their craft, right? They're the Mamba mentality, the sacrifice of an All-Star game, or a cool summer vacation, or hanging out with an IG model. You're going to be in the gym putting up shots because you don't want to be where Ben Simmons is at right now. Right? So if Kyle Kuzma was offered that thing, were they direct with him like, hey, man, we need you in the gym perfecting that jump shot. Your 3-point percentage should be going up. Your outside shooting should be going up, because if not, then we don't need to be paying you all this money.
That's fair. Even with The Last Dance, when we got more insight about Michael Jordan, this is your job. Are you good at your job? And his whole thing was, I'm gonna pass it to you, and if you miss this, like okay, cool, you miss, okay, cool. You miss the second time, I ain't passing it back to you. And do you blame him for having that mentality? Because in my opinion, no, not really, because his job is to win. So I can see where you're coming from with that. And even like Austin Rivers, right? I remember his story got kind of blown up because he was like, he got to his hotel and his girl was like, oh yeah, this night. He's like, nah, babe, I'm gonna go to the gym. And it's kind of funny, but also like, yeah, that's his job.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I forgot who's the assistant coach. Is it Phil Handy?
Yeah.
Right? And then he was telling a story about Kobe, like, yo, Kobe, why are you such an asshole? And he goes, what do you mean? You're just such an asshole to these other players. And then he goes, look at them. They're leaving the gym earlier than I am and then coming in later than I am. They're not here to perfect their craft. I'm not going to pass them the ball. I don't know what they're capable of. I don't see any kind of improvement in their game. So I'm not going to pass them the ball. And then, now hearing that, I don't blame him. Like, if Kyle is not putting in the work, I don't know if he's going to make it. Yeah, he made it last game, but I don't feel comfortable he's going to be making it this game because I don't see the work that he's putting in. So, like I said, these NBA players, as much as you get all this money, glitz and glamour, and this is still your job. Like, you still have to put in time and effort, perfecting your craft, and, they're lucky to be in a position. We would love to, be paid to play basketball, because I think, if we were in the same situation, we'd be, catching each other's rebounds and trying to perfect our game, but
look at a guy like Lonzo, who was struggling for the longest time, and it seems like he's worked a lot because his shot looks so much better.
Correct. It's weird the Pelicans are not even trying to bring them back. I think they've made it known they're not bringing them back. I don't know why
they're not.
And it kind of contradicts what we're saying. A person that puts in effort to perfect his game, a team is like almost like turning their back on him.
Yeah, they went and got Valanciunas, so it's like Zion, Valanciunas, and then I guess their other guards. They traded Bledsoe, so that's an interesting move.
Yeah.
Albert, you were gonna say something.
Yeah. Back to the mom mentality. This is why I hold it like high in regard, because not everybody has it, and for someone like Kuzma and I think unfortunately for a majority of these players, they just want to secure the bag. So improving their game is not necessarily what is in the first thing in their mind or their priority. So Kuzma may or not be, obviously he for Kuzma, he wants to improve his game, but there are players that just have a ceiling. And I think Kuzma might be hitting that ceiling real soon. But then again, it's definitely difficult for him to showcase his skills, I think, in the Lakers and the way that they played him. And then for someone like Lonzo, perfecting an ugly shot, I think is mandatory rather than just, something that you have to work on. Because with that shot, I don't think he would have been consistent at all. But then again, hopefully with his upgraded skill set, I think he may come back to the Lakers, or
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Lonzo for a second run. I wouldn't mind at all.
I always like Lonzo. Yeah, I always like Lonzo.
Yeah, strong basketball IQ. I think our only thing was like he wasn't aggressive enough. One, right, and the second one was his jump shot. One looks like he's a little bit more aggressive. I don't know if you could teach aggressiveness, right?
It's hard.
You gotta want it, right?
Yeah, you gotta want it. But I think you're right. And with Lonzo, and I think another reason why we gave him up was like we had to, because it's like we had to trade him to get AD, and
Correct.
AD was obviously like the guy that we wanted more, unfortunately, for our young players. Because I'm sure LA is like, fuck, I wish we kept Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, 100%. I was bummed when they let go Brandon, but it was one of those things like, well, do you want AD or do you want Brandon Ingram, right? So
I wish we kept Randall.
Randall.
I was always high on him, even like way before he was just like a bench player. I always liked his hustle.
100%. Yeah, I 100% like Randall a lot, and he was a little, grittier, a little he didn't
raw.
Yeah, and he wasn't like, you can't push me around. He had that chip on his shoulder too.
Yeah, I agree. Damn, we had a lot of good players. Going back to Mamba mentality, because he is a champion now and a two-time MVP.
Randall?
Has Giannis proved he has the Mamba mentality? Though he doesn't have the skill set, he has the want, right? He has the desire, and he got a 50-piece. So do you feel like he has shown the Mamba mentality?
I think this is going to be an unfair question answer from my end, but even though he's worked his way up, I have to see now. Even though he's got the championship, he's gotten the MVP, he's gotten the defensive play. He's got a defensive player, right?
Yeah, he's basically he's gotten
all those accolades, right? Yeah,
yep.
He's gotten all the hardware, correct? Now I kind of want to see. It's like him learning different techniques, now putting it all together, and then just elevating even more. And I think he can create more for himself, right? Like I think he can still pick up a jump shot.
Get better, which is
he can
crazy.
Still pick up a jump shot. He can build a back to the basket type game,
post game.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things that he can still learn, but the tool sets or the tools that he has now, what can he do with the tools that he have now is where I'm gonna kind of judge him. Like, okay, cool. He's putting in together a really, really nice house after the league.
Agreed. I don't think he has the Mamba mentality now. I think just like his nickname is, I think he's like a Greek freak. I think he relies just purely on his God-given talent. I think his God-given talent gave him those MVPs, gave him that championship. That Mamba mentality is whether or not he is able to focus on the little details, like that Kobe show that, that he has or had, where he, breaks down every little thing to even just the basic footwork. If he's able to focus on that, then yes, I think he does have it, but he definitely does not have it now.
I think we're all happy for him, and it's scary that he can get better, and it's scary that he can be one of the most dominant players to play. But also, you're right, if he doesn't take the time to develop those little nuances, because can you imagine if he had, because I think his IQ is good, but it can get better. So can you imagine if he had like the IQ of a Kobe when in terms of footwork, or like even Steve Nash with getting into the lane, because, or Trae Young or Steph Curry, like, can you imagine if he had those kind of craftiness on top of a jump shot with all of his athleticism? Like, he would be literally that like fantasy player that everyone makes on their team that has 99 across the board and is 6'10", which is nuts. But yeah, curious to hear your guys' answers or not. I agree. I think he can get better. I hope he gets better, and I hope that this isn't the last time we see him in the finals.
Him winning the championship, I think, proves that he is the NBA's most dominant player right now.
Well, imagine this though. You know how is Giannis and KD, are they like the same height?
Yeah.
So I would say like maybe Giannis went one direction of the spectrum and then KD went the other, like, a jump shooter, and Giannis is like more of a power player.
Sure.
Imagine if Giannis adapted some of, like a dribble, stop and pop like KD. Like I said, Giannis can be really unstoppable if he picks up a mid-range game or even a back to the basket type game where he has a turnaround jump shot. He's gonna be really, really, like, imagine if he spins and instead of going towards the basket, he goes away from the basket and shoots like a fall away jump shot. Unstoppable, because people are gonna wait for him at the goal. Okay, you're waiting for me at the goal. I'm flying away from the goal and I'm making this jump shot too.
Like that Kevin Garnett turnaround.
But imagine, yeah, that's crazy because he has a wicked turnaround, and then straight to the basket. Imagine if he goes the opposite direction, man. Like, that's gonna really. How do you play against him? Like, is he gonna go towards the basket? Is he going away from the basket this time? Like, he's gonna be really special if he can learn how to play or pick up a jump shot.
What kind of turnaround was it?
Turn around.
No, it was wicked, fam.
It was wicked, fam.
Or yeah, maybe he turns into a Kevin Antetokounmpo or Giannis Durant.
Kevin, I was like, where's he going with this? Who's that? Is that the
yeah? I was wondering where you're going with that too. Or if they gave him, I mean, I love Drew Holiday. Everyone knows I love Drew Holiday. Knox, we're gonna fight. But can you imagine if he had a point guard that set him up in a pick and roll, like how Chris Paul would set up Aiden?
Chris Paul.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need a different point guard. I love Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday's my guy.
But if CP would have been on the team, I think they would have lost.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point, for sure. At Albert, but no, it's just crazy. Like, because like Stoudemire, right? If you remember Mark Stoudemire, he was just a slasher, and that's all he could do. And then he developed that elbow down game when he went to New York, and it was really well. Injuries, unfortunately for him, but if he had that point guard setting him up like the whole time, Giannis would have an easy 40. And before you add on his ability to actually handle the ball, which is crazy to me. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy for him. I'm excited for next season. I need basketball now. I need it back.
Yes. Well, we got basketball. We got Olympics.
But like, it's so hard to watch that. For not because of it's hard to watch it because they suck. No, it's like it's hard to catch the games. And then they're already recorded. So by the time we actually get to watch and we already know who won.
Word.
So it's just kind of those things. Anyway, let's shift gears again. Let's talk a little Kanye, because his album was supposed to drop last week. I was ready for it. I really wanted to listen. I didn't catch any of the listening party. Have you guys heard anything from his new album? And then from there, what are you kind of expecting if you didn't? And or, we've all seen this before from Kanye. We've seen him like, oh, here's my album, and it comes out 2 weeks later. So, what are your guys' thoughts about that? And what are your thoughts and anticipation for Donda?
Go ahead, bro. I know you got a lot to say.
The Donda, very close to the Bunda.
The Bunda.
I'm really excited for this. I heard clips from the listening party, I think in Atlanta. There's Don Tolliver, I think, had a very melodic piece or verse in the album. There's Travis Scott, Keen Baby or something. I'm not hip to these new artists now. But yeah, I'm just waiting to hear what kind of Kanye we get.
Yeah, I was asking Donde Donda, because where is this album? We were supposed to come out last Friday. Good old Kanye fashion. He, showing up fashionably late.
Apparently he's been living in that stadium since the listening party.
Oh wow!
But did he go to like an Olympic game?
No, there was a soccer game at that stadium, and he legit just showed up.
Yeah,
went back to his room or something.
Yeah. So yeah, Kanye is up to his. I just think he's really good at marketing himself, right? I think he, like the little antics that he does works. Is it scratching your head? Sure, but it's causing us to do this, talk about it, right? So it's working, and it's not annoying. It's not like, it's not abrasive or anything. It's just Kanye being a Kanye, and we're doing what everyone's saying. Where's the album? I want to hear the album, right? I'm just keeping my expectations low because, I probably, like majority of people, miss the old Kanye, but I'm here for his new album, and I'm just waiting to listen to it.
Albert, before I jump back to you, Ace, did you like Jesus is King?
It's different. It was a different.
Did you like it?
It's cool. Yeah, it's good. It's not my favorite Kanye album, but it's good.
I'm glad you said that. What is your favorite Kanye album?
The first 3 albums. I can't separate them. The first is College Dropout, Late Registration, and Graduation. Those are 3 albums I can literally listen. If you need to go on a road trip and you want me to drive, put on those 3 albums back to back to back in any order. I can drive and not, change. I wouldn't need to skip anything. I love all 3 of those albums. I also like, was it Dark Twisted?
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah, that was also pretty good. 808s and Heartbreak was also a good album for me. From there,
are you holding a fork?
Yeah, man.
Time to eat, baby. Working around.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. What are your thoughts of Life of Pablo?
Once again, it's different. Kanye is evolving, right? And it's kind of like asking us, like, well, won't they just bring out the same Pokemon game every time? No,
right.
It's gonna be different. And are we gonna be like, well, I like the first one better? Well, of course you're gonna like the first one because you're used to that one. Kanye is evolving, and anything that evolves or changes, it's new to us. We're gonna, frown upon it first, until we understand it. But I have never judged Kanye's album and said, like, oh man, this is such a whack album. I just have different albums over other Kanye albums.
Different preferences.
When did your appreciation or love for Kanye go down? Like after what album?
Or did it?
I mean,
it does sound like it since he, I mean, I guess you can speak for yourself, bro. Go ahead.
No, yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you noticed from his, like, once again, oh well, yeah, you're doing what you're talking about, like his old albums compared to his new album. I just felt like he has more to say. He had more lyrics in his other albums compared to these. These ones just sounds like good music that he composed, and he puts like a melodic chorus to it, and he'll say a couple of words repeatedly, and that's the song. Back then, there was like, Jesus Walks and Get 'Em High, or um, just different
You felt
songs, but they had
do you,
lyrics to them.
do you feel like he had more conviction in his younger albums?
I just think that he's changed. He doesn't even do sampling anymore as much, right? Like his sampling back then was, is what I would prefer music back then compared to now. Even anyone that samples now, I like those type of beats compared to the newer beats nowadays.
But what about Yeezus? Like Bound 2 was a
Yeah.
sample.
He samples 1000% still.
Yeah.
I just think the fact that he doesn't sample oldies is what you're trying to.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what I'm saying. Like I like his sampling of old music compared to sampling now. And
Okay.
like I said, there's more lyrics back then. He had a full on song, right? Nowadays it's not. I'm not getting like the stuff that he's giving me is like a little bit of meat with a lot of bone.
I know what you mean, because he even talks about himself in some of his songs. Like from Kids See Ghosts, there was a couple verses where he's like, oh, and this is me like riffing a lot. And even in Ye, he's like, oh, y'all want the old Kanye because of this and that. And sorry if it make where, you feel like you're being dissected.
No, not at all. I love this is the beauty of it. We're talking. And
where were you
like
Thursday, October 27th?
Where were you on the night of January 6th? No, I'm kidding. That's Bruce's joke. So yeah, no, Ace, I appreciate all that. And I still know that Kanye has a big influence in your life because he does to all of us, because I think we all still listen to him and we all still love him, at least his music for the most part. Not for the most part. We love his music. Mm-hmm. We can separate the artist from the artist, the art from the artist sometimes with Kanye, right? Albert, Jesus is King. How'd you feel?
Loved it.
Is there an album that he made that you did not love?
No. That's the thing about Kanye. I think that's what separates him from every other artist, is that every album he's put out, I think I've thoroughly enjoyed. Even with the evolutions. I do agree with my brother though that his lyrics have gone down a bit as far as bars. But these days I'm not looking at Kanye for lyricism anymore. I'm just looking at the production and the quality of the song overall. And then getting back to, I believe, what was I saying about Jesus King? The evolution of Kanye. I think with every album, he has definitely changed. And I think for another artist, I think if they were to change their sound, it's completely different and completely goes away from who they are as an artist. And I think that what makes me stop listening to them. But for someone like Kanye, I think who's very passionate about his music, although he does change, it's still Kanye.
Do you have a favorite album? Ace picked his first three because he couldn't decide, but do you have a favorite album or trio or era?
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy has to be my favorite. It's funny because he only made that album, I guess, because apparently people were saying that he couldn't make a commercial album. And then unfortunately, I like that. That's my favorite album, which is probably the one that he may not like the most.
That's a really good album. It's a really good album.
Yeah. I just remember it released in high school when I was in high school, and not to flex or anything, but I remember just listening it from front to back, organizing my collection of Nike SBs and shoes and stuff, and just organizing it and just seeing bar for bar, and it's just a really good album.
It's a good thing Albert brings up Nike SB, because how I see old Kanye is like the old SBs. They were just very wearable. They're just so dope, right? And I think the newer SBs now is more like art pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I see Kanye's new music is more like an art piece. It's kind of like an art gallery music, not music like you would hear at an art gallery, but he propose it to you for like, I want you to close your mind and envision something, and rather than his older stuff was just like, man, it was just kind of like, okay, backpack Kanye, let's go, let's get this party going. Even though it's not party music, but man, like he just really had it, I he really had his shit together for me and for his first three albums.
Yeah, it spoke to you in a different way than it does now. Not that that's a bad thing, but just the way your preference and what Kanye means to you, like his first few albums.
But don't get me wrong, too. Like you can
Right.
listen to his most recent albums as background music to me.
Oh yeah,
and you can put it around and they're still really good. But yeah, like I said, I'm missing that lyricism from Kanye, and but it's good music still in the background. And he won't. I don't think like Marvel. I don't think he would put out trash. Right? He really puts his finger on all of his projects, and he makes sure whatever he puts out, it's a Kanye project. And like any of his songs from any of his albums is such an epic thing. Like it's so good. Kanye is he's a genius. It's really hard to take that away from him, and a lot of people call him crazy, but he is a genius. He is somewhat a genius.
Absolutely.
I think John would say there is a little bit of crazy in genius.
You can't be a genius and not be somewhat crazy, because the way you think is just different from the norm, whatever this societal description of what normal is, and he's definitely above that.
Correct.
Which makes him a genius, which makes him a little crazy, but also makes some of the most compelling and just beautiful music that I think we've ever heard. Love him or hate him, you cannot deny just how good he is as an artist.
Correct. Yes.
Yeezus is one of my favorites, which going back and listening to, I would have always said like 808s and Heartbreaks, just because it was so different. Even though it was Kanye, it was just so different. But the more and more that I've listened to like his older stuff like Yeezus, it's I don't know, maybe because I work out too much, because it gets me really hyped, because it does hit harder with some of like the drums and the beats and things. But I can't tell you an album that I don't like of his, kind of like Albert, even though I don't listen to Jesus is King too much. Even there's more recent stuff with like Ye, Kids See Ghosts, Life of Pablo, like I can listen to those and I'm just like, God damn it, Kanye. God damn it, he did it again.
It's really crazy. If you were to take all of Kanye's albums and just put it on shuffle, it's going to be really hard for you to skip, because as much as you may not listen to that song repeatedly, but when it comes on, you're like, fudge, I forgot Kanye put this out, man. This is pretty fire. I think that's one that's really, really hard for you to skip up any song from any of his albums put into a playlist.
Agreed. And it's one of those, like, we're almost spoiled by this now, because you take one of his albums and give it to a different artist. Say if that was their first album, you would think, oh my gosh, that, or give it to an artist that's already established, like, oh my gosh, that album is their best album. Yet it's just one of his collection, right? Like each album is such a well-crafted masterpiece. If you gave it to anyone else, it's like, okay, that's arguably their best album. And I would argue this, like, all of his albums can arguably be his best album.
Correct. And they're so different from each other too, right?
That's so different. They're so, yeah, agreed. Where the beginning from, like, late registration, college dropout kind of gives you a little bit of a timeline of him in his younger days. Even then, like, they're still just so good.
Yeah.
And can I just say, for all these Zoom?
No, you cannot. No, I'm just kidding, Albert. What were you gonna say?
All these little kids over here, like Travis Scott and everything like that. Because it really grinds my gears when when these kids don't appreciate, the roots. And I think
look at that finger wagging.
I think it's around the same time where Travis Scott started popping off is when Yeezus came out, and a lot of people were saying that, Kanye's copying Travis Scott's sound, when in reality it's the other way around. Travis Scott got the Yeezus sound from Kanye, and not only that, but shout out to Pusha T, because he is on good music, and all these people that like Drake, gets me a little frustrated, because saying that Drake is the best and all that, when they had their beef Drake has bars. Drake absolutely killed or got killed by Pusha T.
100%.
Oh yeah,
100%. 100%.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Travis Scott is a prodigy of Kanye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Travis Scott because
Right.
I made this comment. Man, he kind of sounds like Kanye.
Right. But from my understanding, it was like he's the prodigy. Like he grew under Kanye. It wasn't like okay, cool.
As an artist, he was signed under T.I. But as a producer, he was signed under Good Music, which is Kanye's label. And that's where a lot of the production and stuff for Yeezus and even Travis Scott's album came from. Was him and Kanye.
Yep.
That is what I thought. And
sorry, but all these
no, continue.
Don't get it twisted.
It's serious with Albert's finger wagging.
Yeah, I needed a drink from all that finger wagging.
Oh dear. I think that is a great stopping point. Everyone listen to Kanye, but before we go, Ace, you have something coming up this weekend. Please tell us about it.
Yeah. If any of you guys will be at the Ontario Convention Center or anywhere near that, July 30th, 31st, and August 1st, come catch us. This is Stoops. We have 2 new pins releasing. We got all cute Tinkerbell, and we got, it's me, Mickey. Come on. These guys are going to be releasing this weekend. I think John might be making a special appearance. Albert might be making a special appearance. I definitely will be there. We would definitely love to see if any of you guys can come out and make it. If not, we totally understand. Just come and support. Really appreciate it. Once again, Anna Manga, July 30, 31st, and August 1st. Come catch us at the Ontario Convention Center.
Yeah, I'll be there Friday, Saturday. So if you want my signature, just come through. Because if not, you're going to be definitely getting this L.
Wow.
Hey.
Damn.
Hey.
Right. Well, yeah, guys, I will also be there, Ace, helping you out and support, and looking forward to it.
Appreciate you guys. Really, really appreciate you guys.
It's nothing. We miss Andre, but hey, Dre will be back next time.
Definitely. He missed out the conversation on Ye, but we do miss you, Dre.
Yeah.
Which is funny because people say he
looks
like Kanye.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, all right, guys. Thanks so much. That's gonna do it for this one. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll catch you all in the next one.